What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new video talking about the latest release in the Borderlands franchise, Borderlands 4. Let's get Marcus to say hello. No refunds. His bobblehead broke, so yeah, that's unfortunate. This was from the Borderlands 2 Collector's Edition. Yes, I'm a big Borderlands fan, and if it wasn't for my friend who gave me that 7 Seas copy of Borderlands 1, well, I wouldn't be here. Nor would I be in the looter-shooter space. And I've played through all the major Borderlands games. Borderlands 1, 2, I have thousands of hours on my PlayStation 3 in Borderlands 2. Also have thousands of hours undocumented because this was before Steam. So it was the physical copy. Remember those things? I actually have 4 copies of Borderlands 2 on PlayStation 3, which the Collector's Edition came from. Another copy from PC, and then I got another one on Steam, and then I got the free one from Epic Games, which we don't talk about that one. So technically, we only have 3, right, guys? Anyway, all those copies of Borderlands 2. I love the pre-sequel. Played it a bunch as well. Borderlands 3 was a good game, of course. I know there are people who don't like certain parts of Borderlands 3, but you could not deny it was a good game. And here we are with Borderlands 4. And I'm having a blast. I've already clocked in about like 50, close to 60 hours already. I took my time. I saw a lot of people rushing to the end game, and I already knew, like, this is a new Borderlands title. People rushing to the end game for what? There's not going to be an end game. And I ended up finding out what everybody else was talking about when it came to the end game part. But we'll get there. So I played as Amon, the big guy. He looked badass, so I picked him right away. And of course, he has all these different types of abilities, the shield ability, the axe ability. But I really resonated with the fisting ability because, let's be honest, I love fisting. And we finished the campaign at level 40 and did a little bit of the UVHM trials. And off stream, I made it to UVH2, created a new character, Vex, the Siren, and got both of those characters to level 50. And now I'm just leveling up my UVHM, got some legendaries, putting builds together. And I can definitely say this is a game that you can definitely put thousands of hours in. Is it the best Borderlands to ever come out? No. Does it beat Borderlands 2 or is as good as Borderlands 2? How some other people say? Absolutely not. Those people should be slapped. Seriously, go slap yourself if you ever think like that. From the characters I've played, Amon and Vex, they're pretty decent. Vex isn't the greatest Siren of all time. That title goes to Amara. She's the greatest. And then number 2 will be Maya. But still, Amara is just my favorite Siren. She's awesome. She kicks ass. We have Amon. I wanted to try something different this time, and it is the first time that I've actually not played a Siren. Borderlands 1, Lilith was my first character. Funny enough, I'm playing Amon now, and I've never played Brick in Borderlands 1. I should reinstall Borderlands 1 and play Brick. I haven't really experienced him. I loved him in Borderlands 2 and 3, so we should definitely try him out in 1. So yeah, Borderlands 1, I played Lilith. 2, of course, Maya. Pre-sequel, there was no Siren, but I did play Athena and Nisha. Those are pretty cool. A little bit of Aurelia. 3, tons of hours just dedicated to Amara. Some Moes, and a little bit of Zane. There was a 4th Vault Hunter, but he doesn't exist. Anyway, here we are in Borderlands 4, and I decided to pick Amon. He had the elemental thing going for him, so I tried that out. And it was similar to Tiny Tina's Wonderland with all the axes and stuff. I forgot the class. What was that class in the one who did the ice axe? It was something similar to that, so I wanted to try that, but I ended up going with a fisting build instead. Pretty cool, pretty fun. So you can say I really enjoyed the game. The best part about the game, I would say, are the guns. The best way they implemented guns out of all the Borderlands. Because of the different manufacturers mixing together. You can get Torg with Jacobs and Maluan. That combo is unfathomable. The legendaries are pretty decent. You got a lot of the Jacobs one popping off quite a lot. Jacobs in Borderlands 4 is really, really strong. Torg feels kinda not as great as the previous games. Maluan is Maluan. There's 3 new manufacturers. You got the... What's the bandit variant? The Rippers. You got the Rippers, you got the Order, and then you have the Daedalus. Daedalus is like the copium version of Dahl. Order is the new faction. Not really a big fan. And then the Ripper. The worst out of all of them. If I were to rank the new manufacturers, definitely put Daedalus at the top. Order number 2, and Ripper at the bottom. Just the charge mechanic of the Ripper is just, it doesn't feel good. And then you have the Order, you have the Semi, and you have the Charge. And then the Daedalus is pretty much like Dahl, your Burst Fire, your Hold Trigger, or Semi, depends on the manufacturer combo. Yeah, on top of that, the world is massive, grand. You have all these different biomes. You have the rocky area, the desert area, the grassy lands, and the frozen area. I was going to say the Frozone. And you have all these different side quests. You can interact with different NPCs. I feel like the world has some character. But with all this good, there's always bad. And now let's talk about the bad things. Because let's be honest, this is when people will be like, how do you feel about the Stutterlands? Yes, the game has poor optimization. And unfortunately, the only way to cope with it is to enable all these different settings or download a mod to disable certain settings so things could run a bit smoother. And for people who are using older GPUs, they're going to see a lot of issues in their gameplay. I'm using a 40 series GPU, so I'm definitely coping with some DLSS, and the game is running decently. And I've crashed a total of 2 times in my entire playthroughs. And this was only during on stream. Hopefully they get this optimization issue sorted out fast and not be like Monster Hunter Wilds. I did compliment the characters, the world. There is a problem within the characters and the worlds. First, I'll start off with the design. Amon looks pretty cool. Vex, she's okay. Rafa is a brown version of Zane. And then there's Harlow. She looked like she's a reject from Concord. And then you have the NPCs that you interact with. I'm not going to spoil too much about the story, but you'll meet some NPCs before you meet the returning NPCs from Borderlands 3 and 2. Right? You'll meet the newer NPCs. And unfortunately, they're just bland, generic, and don't stand out as much. Voice acting is great and all that. But yeah, just the character designs just feel bland and generic. Either they just went too safe or they just didn't want to bother making anything that stood out as much. But good news, Moxie's boobs are bigger, so that's a big plus. And Amara's abs are peak as ever. And within the world, as I said, it's very vast. You have all these different things going on. The main issue you'll see is there's only 2 factions. And within those 2 factions, you're just going to see them planted all over. So even though you're in a new area, you're still going to see the same faction. Yes, the whole place has been taken over by the Order and all of that. You go from the snowy lands to the desert to the inner city. You're just going to see the same guys over and over. Is that a bad thing? Yes and no. The reason why this is very apparent, you'll see too much of the same thing, is because Borderlands 4 is an open world game. So you're expecting to see some change. You know, maybe these enemies were affected by the area that they were in. Let's say the Rippers are in the desert zone, and now they're wearing different outfits, or they react differently. No, they're just pretty much the same. This wasn't a big issue in the older games because, well, it wasn't open world. It was instance-based. And now let's talk about the story without spoiling anything, because play it for yourself and develop your own opinion. Unfortunately, the story wasn't that great. It was very... it was just there. The only time I was excited was when I saw returning characters. Like, oh, they're here! Awesome, loved it. But other than that, yeah, the new characters were just like... I didn't resonate with them at all. And this is where we come to the biggest offender of Borderlands 4. The main villain. This is the thing that actually ticked me off the most. The other things were, tolerable, but the villain just... Hear me out. If we were to compare Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 4, especially in the villain department, Borderlands 3 villains, however annoying they were, cringe, whatever, they were still a million times better than the villain in Borderlands 4. The villain in Borderlands 4 was just evil for the sake of being evil. If you played it, I'm pretty sure you'll understand this. They didn't have any presence, and whenever the villain was talking or speaking, it always sounded like he was doing an ASMR session. He's like, "You better watch out, I'm coming after you. I'm the bad guy. It was just mumble. It was just mumble. I think this was also to do with the way they designed their audio, because whenever you change the settings, there's like 4 volume sliders. You have your main volume, your sound effects volume, your music, and then your dialogue. I turned the music all the way down to 0, kept the sound effects fairly low, and the dialogue at max so I can hear everything. But the issue is, when you turn up the dialogue, it turns up the dialogue for every single thing. Meaning, the enemies screaming when you burn them or electrocute them, or when they're just attacking you. So it overshadows everything else. You're busy shooting and smashing, you know, fisting if you're playing him on, right? Your Vault Hunter is talking, you know, saying his one-liners. Your burning enemies are going, ah! While everyone else is having their monologue. So you don't hear anything. And then especially, what makes it even worse is when the main villain talks, you just don't hear him. He's just like, I'm going to do something very bad. I ended up watching a video just to learn a bit about the lore and the main villain, and yeah, he's just not great. He's not a great villain. It felt like they were just, it was just very undercooked. But the boss fight of the main villain was actually really good. I liked it. It wasn't the best, but it was decent. Flashy. Otherwise, yeah, Handsome Jack was just the best villain, let's be honest. And the Borderlands 4 campaign felt to be the shortest campaign out of all the Borderlands. If you didn't have all the distractions from the open world and you just focused on the main quest, you can finish the MSQ very quickly. You feel like you're speedrunning the game. You're like, wait, it's that short? Yes, it's that short, unfortunately. And then with all that aside, you get to the end game. Now, I watched Jolt's dude's video about the end game, and he was like, it's not great. I was like, maybe because he just, you know, rushed it. He's just trying, let me see for myself. Yeah, he was absolutely right. The end game is not great. It's it's not good. It's you're just busy replaying the story. You're just pretty much replaying the story and killing some badasses to level up your Ultimate Vault Hunter rank. I mean, yes, that's what you did in the previous Borderlands. You would replay the entire story, but no, this time you'll replay segments, random segments with random modifiers. Sure, that's a bit different and fresh, but you want to do something that's end game. So you can literally just finish doing the main campaign and then start the wildcards, which is the end game part of Borderlands 4, to do the same mission that you just finished. So it could feel like, what? I just did that. Why do I have to do it again? So it can feel, you know, undercooked, very undercooked. There are no raid bosses as of yet. There are no takedowns. One of the best things that was added in Borderlands 3 was the Maliwan takedown. We're not going to talk about the Guardian takedown. Yeah, that doesn't exist. Don't expect too much from the end game right now. And there are certain builds that just, of course, this is going to be normal for every game. Certain builds that just don't work as well in the higher level of the end game compared to the other like one-shot builds or the gun builds. I had to find that out the hard way. Melee scaling is just not great in Borderlands 4. Even though you have all these other melee modifiers and the crit and the debuffs, yeah, your gun is just going to be the main focus of the game. Yes, it is a looter shooter, but they do have melee, and we got to do the fisting thing with them on, but it just doesn't work in the later stages of the game. So yeah, I switched to a more gun-focused setup, and hey, now we're blasting through everything. Now the final question. Is the game worth it? Now, I'm gonna pull a little bit of a Randy Pitchford here. If you're a Borderlands fan, that's something you should definitely not ask. Like, you know you're gonna be playing the game, whether you like it or not. It's just dependent on, you know, can you afford it? Do you have the computer or the console to actually run the game? And if you're worried about how much it costs, use third-party sites. Paying full price for video games in this economy? Especially a AAA game? Yeah, use third-party sites. Get those CD keys, my guys. And if it's your first Borderlands game, I highly recommend for you to not play it. Borderlands 2 is peak, and I would highly suggest you play that one first. However, if you don't want to play pre-sequel or Telltales, then just jump to 3, but watch videos on the lore so you can understand as much. Otherwise, yeah, just let 2 be the best experience you'll ever get, because it's none of these Borderlands games will ever get close to Borderlands 2. But yeah, otherwise, I rank this game after playing it, and as a Borderlands fan, I would rank this game a solid IGN 7 out of 10. It loses points because of the optimization, the poor story, and the villain. Deducted 3 points because of those things. Otherwise, solid game. You'll be playing it for hours. You can enjoy the game even though it has some faults. Anyway, that has been it for me. I do have enjoyed this style of video. If you want to catch me playing some Borderlands or other things, you can always check out the description, join the stream, all the good stuff. All right, peace.